Hi, Shawn Driscoll. Welcome back to ShawnDriscoll.com. I hope that you enjoyed taking the TQ assessment and found some insights and aha moments after you discovered what your unique trailblazer quotient is. So today is really all about answering the most common questions I find people have after they discover their unique TQ. So hopefully we'll cover your questions, but if we don't, be sure to send me an email at info@ShawnDriscoll.com and we will cover your question in an upcoming TQ Q&A episode. All right, so stay tuned. So the first question that I get all the time is, what is a trailblazer anyway? You know, a trailblazer is really somebody who I believe plays on the leading edge. You know, I have a special place in my heart for the pioneers, the change makers, the rule breakers, the mavericks among us. Those who really have a passionate mission that requires them to think outside the rule books and the standard operating procedures and the benchmarks of doing business today. And they play to the edge. And so really, to me, a trailblazer is simply someone who is able to, or who is called maybe to say no to the status quo and say yes to playing and building a business that steps outside the norm, that claims its distinction and its uniqueness, and that leads the way for others to follow and blazes its own trail. That to me is a trailblazer. So thank you for asking. You know, a couple of key points I wanted to make about the trailblazer quotient. I'm quite often asked, what do I do with this tool now that I have it? And this tool is really not about boxing you in. It's not about putting you into a box and saying, you're this type of business owner, this type of trailblazer, this is your TQ, and you must act a certain way, and you must follow this blueprint and build your business this way. That's exactly the opposite of what I'm trying to accomplish by putting this tool in your hands. Really, to me, success is about, you know, not forcing things, not forcing ourselves to fit something that's not right for us, and not fighting our inherent wiring or our nature. The TQ is designed to free you by giving you permission to be you. So instead of boxing you in with rules and, instead of boxing you in with an outdated rule book, it's really about empowering you to throw the rule book out, get rid of the blueprints that don't fit, get rid of, the latest, greatest business tip or tactic that isn't right for you, and fully own and embrace your uniqueness and build your business in a way that feels like home. I talked about this, right? It's about coming into your own and really being on the leading edge. Be uncompromising. Be unwilling to compromise who you are and what you're here to do just to fit into what everybody says is the right way to do business. Because the truth is, there is no right way, and if you play by an outdated rule book, you will get outdated results. And a trailblazer doesn't do that. All right. Another really frequently asked question is this. What if I'm tied? What if my score is tied in 2 or more areas on the TQ? So first I want to reassure you that that's not uncommon. Everyone who takes the TQ has some mix of all 4 types. It's just which one is primary and which one is secondary that we're really looking for. What's in the lead here? So if you find that you're tied in 2 or more areas, that's not anything to be concerned about. It's typical. It happens sometimes. Maybe you've been putting your focus in a couple of different places. Maybe you're in a little bit of creative conflict between 2 parts of you. Maybe the part of you that likes to go deep and intimate and connected, and the part of you that wants to take it big and wide and spread the message, right? That's a very common trailblazer conflict. And so what I would say is, ask yourself which is in service to the other. So what I mean by that is that which needs to be in the spotlight, which is the lead role, the primary you, and which is the supporting role, the one that really comes in secondary. So let me give you a quick example. Someone I know who took the assessment is a public speaker on a national stage, has written a book that's published by, not self-published, but a book published by a publishing house, and has a pretty broad national spotlight, right? So of course, her score was strong in the inspiration category. She also, though, was very strong in innovation, and this perplexed her a little bit. But when we looked at it, we realized that actually her dominant, her primary, her leading starring role was really an innovator, because she is a bridge builder between two worlds. She brings new ideas, new approaches, new concepts to the world that she speaks to and writes about. And so the inspiration was really about supporting, spreading her innovative ideas. And so innovation became her primary TQ, supported by the inspiration components of her business building, right? Building a platform for the message, and even publishing content so that when she did have the platform, people could consume it. But primarily, she was an innovator. So just ask yourself, which am I? What is my primary stand here? The next question is, I found my results really surprising. I thought I would be a different type. Another version of this question that I've gotten is, after reading the descriptions, I was surprised by my results. I would have thought I would have been something different. So either way it goes, whether you thought going in you would be one way or another, or you thought after reading the descriptions that your score wasn't quite accurate, I have two things to say about that. Number one, ask yourself, why did that surprise me? What was it that was surprising? So just get clear why you expected it to read one way and it came out another. Secondly, I would never ask you to sacrifice your own sense of self and your own discerning judgment over the score on a TQ assessment. So if you really believe that your score is inaccurate, fine. This is about you being in discovery about what's the best path for you. And however you come to that conclusion through this tool or any other way is perfect in the end. So if your score doesn't quite add up and you don't quite agree with it, I'm fine with that, and you should be too. The other question you can ask yourself, though, is, have I been putting focus on building up an area of my business, even though that's not where my heart is at or where I'm comfortable playing? Quite often, for very strategic reasons sometimes, and sometimes for very unconscious reasons, we start putting our focus in an area that's not natural to us. Maybe we think we should be building a big platform and doing speaking, but we're really not an inspiration type person. Or maybe we think we really ought to be creating a suite of products and services, and so we spend all of our time writing and creating content, but again, our heart really isn't there. It's something we just felt like we needed to do for the business. If that's a strategic reason, by all means keep going. But question, go into inquiry. Why am I here? Why am I playing in this quadrant if it's not necessarily aligned with who I am and where my talents are best used? All right, next question. What if you've been focusing on building the wrong type of business? A valid and a little bit probably nerve-wracking question to have to ask, right? Is like, oh, have I been putting all my eggs in the wrong basket here, trying to build a business that isn't quite right for me? Again, you want to go inside, check with your head, check with your heart, check with your gut, full throttle check. You don't want to be throwing the baby out with the bathwater, going into panic, because there's no need. What you really just want to do is ask yourself, what shift do I need to make to be more in alignment? Because that's really what this is about. Okay, if I feel a little off course, what do I have to do to get back on course? What's a minor adjustment I can make? Doesn't have to be major, doesn't require an overhaul. You don't have to throw it all out and start over. It's simply, what's the shift that I'm being invited to make? That's the opportunity here. All right, next question is, now what? Now that I know my TQ, what do I do with it? How do I put it into action? Well, that's a very individual answer. that I can't necessarily do justice here, but I do want you to stay tuned, because in upcoming videos I'm going to do a deeper dive into some of the most common TQ profiles, so the combination of primary and secondary, and talk about what next if that's where you are, and really where your growth opportunities lie, and how to apply and implement the TQ into your particular business and life. So stay tuned, and I will be with you in just a couple of days with your next installment of the TQ follow-up series. So have a great day. Until next time, this is Shawn Driscoll.